All right, Raider Nation, what's up? It's your boy Sanji back with another video. Today we're breaking down Jackson P. Johnson's 21 snaps for the Las Vegas Raiders against the Carolina Panthers. We'll also touch on some of the other players, but the focus will be on Paris Johnson's 21 plays. Let's dive right in. Right off the bat, you can see Paris Johnson has a ton of potential. He's fast, explosive, and takes great blocking angles. We're going to break down each of those 21 snaps and really see what he brings to the table. So on the second snap, we've got a run to the right, and Paris Johnson's job here is to cut off Shaq Thompson, number 54. He does a really solid job, though he gets tossed at the end. Some might say that's a bad play because of it, but I don't agree. Getting thrown around happens sometimes, but if you do your job, that's what counts. That's something Paris Johnson consistently shows. He gets the job done. Now let's talk about the Raiders' run-blocking scheme. It's a bit broken right now, and you can see it in plays like this where linebacker Hash 43 goes unblocked. It's clear why the Raiders aren't having success running the ball. It's not a mystery. The scheme just isn't working. Still, Paris Johnson is the real deal, and I'm excited to dive into the tape. All right, on to the third play. This is the one snap where Paris Johnson makes a mistake. He's not alone, though. There are a few breakdowns that cause this play to fail. Let's get into it. Paris has a down block on the defensive tackle. Meanwhile, Glazer needs to block number 54, and the rest of the line has to pick up the other defenders. You'll notice linebacker Hash 47 jumps the gap, which causes trouble. This could be blamed on either Michael Mayer or Colton Miller, but in my view, it's an equal split. Mayer should have protected his inside gap, but the play fails either way. Paris Johnson also loses his block here. The defensive tackle slips past him, but Paris recovers quickly, getting his hands back on number 91 and trying to push him out of the play. But by then, the play is already blown up in multiple spots. This is the story of the Raiders' run game right now. Guys are missing blocks, and the reads aren't there. On a 2nd and 8, and then again on 3rd and 7, the Raiders try to run the ball, but it's just not working. They manage to pick up a couple of yards, but it's not enough. Take a look at Cody Whitehair on the 3rd and 7 play. He gets blown up, which is part of why the Raiders struggle in the run game. It's the little things, staying attached to your blocks, finishing the play. College football teams actually measure how long players stay attached to their blocks, and NFL teams do the same. It's all about holding on to your guy for as long as possible. Paris Johnson does all right on this one, but it's nothing spectacular. In this play, you'll see Paris makes contact with the defensive tackle on a split zone concept. The running back is cutting left, and Paris's job is to block the defender outwards. He does that well, keeping the defender from cutting inside. It's not really a win or a loss, just both guys doing their jobs. But once again, Cody Whitehair gets blown up, and that's where the play breaks down. That 3rd and 7 run leads the Raiders to a 4th and 4, and once again, you can't afford to play football like this. Whether you're an offensive lineman or a quarterback, things have to be sharper. Let's continue analyzing these plays. If this is the performance you're getting from your offensive line, it's clear that Cody Whitehair needs to be replaced. Even though this is supposed to be a breakdown of Paris Johnson, we have to look at the whole picture, including the negative plays. Here's a perfect example. Mullen takes the snap, looks to his right, doesn't like what he sees, and turns to the left to throw to Brock Bowers. But how do you throw when your guard is getting pushed right into your face? A quarterback needs to step forward to throw the ball properly. Here, Mullen has no room to step into his throw because Whitehair is being driven straight back into him. As a result, Mullen is forced to throw off balance, almost jumping to his left. This is why Whitehair has to go. What's even crazier is that Paris Johnson is playing at right guard instead of taking Whitehair's spot. Johnson has a simple assignment: slide to the right, protect the inside with one hand, and be ready to help if Glazer gets beat on the inside. That was a crucial 4th down play, and after that, the Raiders' offense really started to struggle. On the next play, 1st and 10 with 4 minutes left in the 3rd quarter, Johnson rotates back in, having sat out most of the second quarter. Again, Cody Whitehair gets pushed straight into the quarterback. Now, Mullen is looking to the right, so it's not as disastrous as the last play, but you can't have someone in your face as you're throwing. Meanwhile, Paris Johnson does a fantastic job. On this play, number 93 tries to bull rush and collapse the pocket, but Johnson steps right into him, shuts him down, and keeps him from getting anywhere near the quarterback. Andre James is there for the double team, but Johnson didn't even need it. He's showing real power and technique, doing exactly what's needed. From this point on, Johnson is in for passing plays, and he consistently delivers. He's smart, reads the defense well, and helps his teammates when needed. On this play, he puts out his drag hand to assist Andre James, just in case he needs help. He's also ready to support Glazer if he gets pushed back, which, unfortunately, he does. Johnson steps in and helps out, showing his awareness. I've been critical of DJ Glazer, and here's why. On this particular play, when Johnson passes his defender to James, he does it perfectly, but Glazer doesn't do the same for Johnson. Glazer uses a circle punch technique, which lacks aggression. Johnson, on the other hand, gets his hands right into the defender's chest plate. This leads to Johnson having to catch the defender Glazer let slip, and also missing the chance to pick up linebacker hash 47. That play was 3rd and 6, and because the Raiders didn't pick up the first down, they ended up punting. Had there been less pressure, maybe they would have moved the ball downfield, but we'll never know. Paris Johnson didn't play on the next drive, which ended with Gardner Minshew throwing an interception. After that, Aiden O'Connell took over with 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and Johnson returned, continuing to dominate. The way Johnson handles contact is impressive. Even when a defender tries to chop or swipe his hands, he doesn't lean forward or lose balance. This level of control is rare, especially considering this is his first NFL action. He stays firm, keeps his balance, and even pushes his defender into Andre James and Cody Whitehair. On the next play, Johnson is in a one-on-one situation while James and Whitehair double-team another defender. The Raiders also set up to chip with number 8 on one defensive end and with Brock Bowers on the other. It's a smart move to slow down the pass rush, and you can see Alexander Mattison thinking about hitting the defender, which forces him to take a more shallow angle. This type of strategic influence in the passing game is something the Raiders did a lot last year. If you've been following my channel, you know I've talked about how poor the Raiders' offensive line was last season. They used chipping techniques constantly to compensate. But with Gardner Minshew in, they haven't been using it as much, opting to send 4 or 5 receivers out on routes instead, just like the best teams in the NFL do. Luke Getsy seems to think he has a top 5 offensive line, but the reality is far from that. The line has struggled, and here's a clear example. Aiden O'Connell takes a sack, and DJ Glazer makes a key mistake by getting pushed back. O'Connell isn't mobile enough to escape situations like this, and that's a limitation we all need to acknowledge. On the other hand, Paris Johnson does a great job with his movement and awareness, although maybe he could have helped Glazer a bit more on this play. However, he had to make sure number 75 was properly passed off to Andre James before doing so, and by the time Glazer is getting pushed back, it's too late for Johnson to assist. After that sack by Jadeveon Clowney, the Raiders face a 3rd and 13. They managed to pick up 8 of the needed yards, thanks in part to solid protection. The offensive line keeps O'Connell clean on this play, using chips and influence techniques, which I believe should be standard for both O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. Honestly, I'm not convinced Minshew is the long-term solution for the Raiders. They need to rebuild their offensive line before looking for a new quarterback. Drafting a right tackle might be necessary unless they believe DJ Glazer can develop into that role. Glazer shows some potential, but the Raiders can't keep relying on chips from running backs and tight ends. For example, when Brock Bowers chips number 40, it slows down his route, reducing his impact on the play. Sure, on this 3rd and 13 it worked out fine, but that won't always be the case. Paris Johnson, though, continues to impress. His ability to pass off defensive line games is top-notch. On this play, he doesn't allow the defender to get a free shot at Andre James, which would have happened with weaker linemen like Dylan Parham or Cody Whitehair. Johnson pushes his man off to the side and then comes back to handle another defender, showing great awareness. Even though the defender isn't rushing hard, Johnson gets back into position to block effectively. On the following 4th and 5 play, Johnson demonstrates his advanced technique again. Watch how he uses his right hand to pull downwards, trying to unbalance the defender. The defender doesn't fall, but the move is still impressive. These are the kinds of advanced skills Johnson developed in college that are translating well into the NFL. His footwork, technique, power, and overall awareness are all on display. Johnson is shaping up to be a real asset for the Raiders, and I'm confident he'll be a top-tier player. Having watched rookies like Tyler Smith with the Dallas Cowboys and Matthew Bergeron with the Atlanta Falcons, I can tell early on which players will succeed. Johnson shows all the signs. His composure, technique, and ability to stay calm under pressure are rare for a rookie. He's great in space, moves well, and reads the game with intelligence. On this play, he smoothly passes the defensive tackle to Andre James before coming back to help Glazer, showing his quick decision-making and strength. Even when he doesn't finish off a block, like on the following play near the goal line, Johnson still puts defenders in tough positions. In contrast, Cody Whitehair keeps getting pushed back into the quarterback, which is a recurring issue. Whether it's Aiden O'Connell or any other quarterback, they can't operate properly with this level of pressure. For instance, O'Connell's pass to Michael Mayer is off target because he couldn't step into his throw. His footwork was disrupted by Whitehair's man pushing into him, leading to an almost interception. It's surprising that the Raiders replaced Dylan Parham with Johnson instead of addressing Whitehair's struggles. Maybe Luke Getsy sees something in Whitehair that we don't, or maybe there were promises made to him. Either way, it doesn't add up. Johnson continues to make smart plays, and his potential is clear. At first glance, you might miss what really happens in this play, but football is often more complex than just one-on-one pass blocking. Sometimes you have to use techniques like a butt block, which is more common in run blocking, but can happen in pass protection too. In this case, Paris Johnson ends up dealing with both a defensive tackle and an inside rush, and DJ Glaze doesn't react fast enough. Glaze needed to move his feet quicker to get into position because Paris can't just let go of the first defender to cover the inside rusher. If he does, Glaze is in a tough spot. Paris does the best he can here, even using his back to block the defender, which is a smart play. It's not a full butt block, but it's effective. Paris shows his awareness and quick thinking on this play. Moving to the next snap, he does another great job. You can see him handle the bull rush perfectly, getting his right hand inside the defender's chest and dropping his anchor. Though Andre James is there to help, it's clear Paris would have been able to handle it on his own. On the other hand, Cody Whitehair continues to struggle. There's almost a 50% chance he'll get pushed into the quarterback on any given play. We might need to do a separate breakdown on DJ Glaze, but he held up well against Jadeveon Clowney, a top-tier defender. The Raiders did help their rookies on the right side of the line with double teams and influence blocks, which is necessary when you have young players at both right guard and right tackle. In another play, Paris smoothly passes off the defensive tackle to Andre James, showing his awareness of the slide protection and the light defensive front. He knows there's no immediate threat, so he uses this opportunity to help Glaze, demonstrating his quick thinking once again. Then, we see Paris deliver a fantastic pancake block. In a true five-man protection, there's no help from running backs or tight ends because the team wants to get as many receivers out in routes as possible. This means the offensive line must hold up on their own, and Paris absolutely crushes it. Now, in a five-man protection, quarterbacks know they might take hits, especially behind a struggling offensive line. Defensive linemen also recognize this. They know there won't be any extra blockers, so they come full speed. That's why Aiden O'Connell nearly throws an interception on this play. The defensive pressure disrupts him, and the pass ends up right in the hands of the defender, who thankfully drops it. But the bigger issue is the Raiders' offensive line. Colton Miller gets pushed right back into O'Connell. Even though O'Connell gets the ball out quickly, the fact that he's hit right after the throw shows how much pressure he's under, and that messes with a quarterback's mindset. Bringing in Paris Johnson was a huge first step for the Raiders, but the offensive line still has a lot of room for improvement. Even on the next play, Andre James gets beat, and Colton Miller's man nearly gets to the quarterback. Despite these issues, Paris continues to perform well, handling power rushes like a pro. His potential is clear, and there's so much to be excited about with him. In his 21 snaps, Paris Johnson impressed at nearly every turn. I'm thrilled the Raiders drafted him. He was my highest-graded player in this draft class, and the only reason he wasn't picked even higher is because of positional value. Centers and guards just don't go that early. But in a few weeks, you'll see Paris putting defenders on their backs regularly. He has that kind of upside. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. This kind of film analysis is my favorite, and I love diving into the little details. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to give a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you next time with another video.